Today I thought I could talk about something that's kind of been like crossing my mind lately is object consciousness. And what does object consciousness mean? And I think a good example of this would be like when we're children and we want maybe some type of animal, maybe we want a puppy, and we ask our parents for a puppy, and they finally, after the 10th time, they get us a puppy. And then when we have the puppy, we don't really want to care for the puppy and we kind of ignore it, kind of like an action figure that looks super cool in the box. And then once we open the box, we just put it in the pile of the other toys we don't play with, and we move on to other things. And I would say that is like the definition of object consciousness, is wanting something just for wanting it without any desire to care for it. But this shows up in a bunch of different ways as we become adults, like desiring to have sex with someone without really ever thinking about the feelings that could come up, or the feelings that could grow, or the attachment that could grow after we have sex with that person. And are we willing to, if they do form stronger feelings for us, are we willing to have the conversations or care for them through those feelings in whatever way feels healthy and supportive to that person and also to us? Like, we never have to try and save people from feeling disappointed, from feeling lost, from feeling grief, but we also have a responsibility, if we're going to be physically intimate with someone, that we're not going to just ghost them afterwards and never speak to them again, right? That would be treating them like an object and being rather unaware of how that might be hurtful or harmful to people, because we always want to be spreading more healing than we do harm or hurt. And object consciousness, another kind of word for it would just be unconsciousness. And how it kind of grows within people is, I think, it's based on our relationship with our feelings. And if we avoid our feelings, if we don't like spending time with our feelings, we aren't going to be curious or interested in other people's feelings. But the only way to really be compassionate towards another person, or to understand someone else's experience, is to be curious and interested on how they feel as they go through experiences. Otherwise, we're just kind of relating to people like they don't have any feelings. And the most extreme examples of this would be like serial killers or murderers, or people that just harm people and are unaware of it, right? They're uncurious. They're not curious and how their actions are affecting others. They're just doing what they want. They're treating people like objects that aren't alive, breathing with feelings. And people do this with animals too. And there's degrees of this where like some people might be kind of shitty to their animal and kind of not be aware of what the animal's experience might be like as they scream at the animal, as they hit the animal or whatever. And what we learn is oftentimes we treat things that are alive, that have feelings, like objects for how we were treated like objects growing up. And if our parents didn't have a very strong relationship with their feelings or avoided their feelings a lot of the time, then they're going to relate to us more from what we achieve or don't achieve, or the milestones we hit in our life, like graduating college or getting a partner, having babies. Then they are going to be really curious about, how is my child actually doing as they go through these experiences? And if we're not willing to be curious about people's feelings, if we're not willing to be curious about our own feelings, or how can we care people through the actions we're taking, if we're choosing to be physically intimate with someone, if we're choosing to end a relationship rather than ghosting them, can we have conversations to help them come more to terms with the change that is happening in their life? That's would be a more compassionate approach. And this is always an example just for people that are that are generally kind to us. Like if someone's abusive or mistreating you, it's always a time to leave the relationship, and you don't have to tell them why, because if someone's coming from a place of hurting or harming you, they're not in a place to receive. They're not in a place to be able to have logical or rational conversations with you, because abuse, mistreatment, neglect isn't when people act that out, they're not coming from their rational mind, and it means that they're living more in a delusion than they are reality. And so we don't have to try and bring people into reality when they're being abusive. We just need to remove ourselves from that environment. But otherwise, when we're ending relationships, when we're choosing to be physically intimate with people, can we make sure that we're willing to care from them, or have the conversations we would want if we were on the other side of a changing relationship, or on the other side, or even like for physical intimacy, can we just be clear on our intentions? If we're into casual sex, can we be clear that's what we're desiring in the relationship before being physically intimate with someone? And we all are going to have to be, and I think it's just about being aware of what objects consciousness is always coming from a place of, I'm unaware of how my actions are going to affect this person. And the more we become aware of the choices I'm making, how does it affect the people around me, and can I be compassionate towards them, and can I have the conversations I need to have when I'm ending relationships or moving in a different direction, it's going to make everyone's experience a lot more easier, and people will feel less hurt when they are able to understand or see your perspective. And you know, something I thought, like obviously I've had experience with object consciousness, and you learn object consciousness, I would say majority of the time, from your parents. And while my parents are amazing people, they did not always have the greatest relationship with their feelings. And I remember in high school, it's a time when I was really struggling, and my mom did not notice that I was struggling at all until I came home with all C's. And I'm like typically a B student. Maybe some people, C's are good grades. You know, we all have different abilities in the school system, and what one person might be really good at, another person might not be their strength, but maybe they're better athletes or artists, and then all is balanced out. But for me, C's were not very good grades. And my mom didn't notice anything was wrong with me till I came home with all C's. And then instead of asking me what I needed to feel greater, to feel more support, to feel more loved or cared for, or what was really going to help me do better in school, feel like a better version of myself, it became about like trying to fix me and trying to figure out what can I give my child that's going to change them to be able to get better grades, rather than what can I do to love, care, and support this person through this experience. Because most of the time people don't need anything about them changed or fixed, but they just need to be listened to, heard, seen, and cared for on a deeper level, cared for as they go through the experience they're going through. And we're relating to people like objects, we're going to try and change and fix the object, rather than try and take the experience someone is having and maybe is struggling through as a reason to care for them deeper. And I would say the biggest thing about object consciousness is when we're relating to people as objects, we're unwilling to care for them, or unwilling to use the experiences we're having with this person as a reason to love or care for them deeper. And it usually, when things get uncomfortable, the people that relate to you as objects will leave your life because they don't want to be inconvenienced. Or they're just going to try and change and fix you as you go through your feelings, rather than love, care, and support you as you go through your feelings. And there is a difference, and it always feels better to be heard, seen, validated, loved as you go through your experience, rather than trying to be changed or fixed. And as adults, as we grow up into adults, oftentimes we start to relate to life as trying to check the boxes of life. Like, I need to get a partner, I need to get a steady job, I need to have a family, without ever really asking ourselves, as I check the boxes, does my experience feel good? Is the career I'm in feel like my highest, my greatest passion for a career, or do I feel like there's something out there better for me? And are we willing to explore life? And it doesn't mean we have to leave our job tomorrow, but can we be rational and explore life? And maybe that means staying in a job we don't really like, but maybe that job gives us the resources or financial income to really fuel a passion that we have, that it doesn't have to be our career, but it gives us the resources to be able to have a passion outside of the career we don't like, or maybe even grow that passion into our next career. Or maybe it's staying in the job for a little bit and looking for a different job, or just being willing to, our life is our, we have the choice of how we would want to live. We have the choice. If you have a dream of being a famous artist, why not go for it? If that's your dream, greatest dream as a person, why not go for your dream rather than thinking about the dream or feeling like it couldn't happen? Why not just try? And maybe that means we have a 9 to 5 and we paint in the evenings. But whatever we want to achieve, we have the ability to make happen. And it's just about, to some degree, and it's going to be different for every person. And sometimes our dream, maybe we have a dream playing stadium tours as a musician, and maybe that dream only manifests as us playing like a relatively well-known venue in our hometown, and maybe doing like a little bar tour or whatever. You're still living out a career or making money as a musician. And isn't that amazing? And why not try and go for whatever we dream or are passionate about? Or if we don't have a passion, exploring what we might light us up. Because I found the more I've explored different sports, different art, different forms of art, the more I find that I'm into so many different things. And most of the things I explore, I love doing. And why wouldn't we want to find things that we love doing? Life does not have to be a life of misery. Life does not have to be a life where we check all the boxes, where we have a family, have a partner, have a job, but we're miserable through all of it. We have the choice of finding things that we're passionate about and taking time to grow that passion into either something we can at least perform or share in front of others, or if we want it to be a career, taking steps to the best of our ability to moving into being whatever we're passionate about as our career, whether that's an artist, musician. And it can happen. It just has to be your willingness not to give up, and your end goal might not look like how you dream, but it's always the universe giving you what actually would have been your most fulfilling career, doing that art venture, doing that, writing songs, whatever it is. And if it doesn't feel fulfilling, we always have the right to explore or to change our passions or to figure out something that would be more fulfilling. But we have to be willing to explore life, and we have to be willing to make changes. And we can do it slowly, and we can do it logically. And maybe that's working a 9 to 5 that we don't like. But the more we're willing to work towards our passion, only more and more love and passion will grow in your life, and greater love for life itself. And to talk about like partnerships, oftentimes, when we grow up in object consciousness, we tend to find a partner that looks good on paper, that has a stable job, that's maybe attractive. But when we actually hang out with them, maybe it doesn't always feel the best, or there's parts of them that we really like, and then other parts of them that we really don't like. Or maybe they can be sweet and kind sometimes, and then other times they can feel rather unaffectionate or rather disrespectful. And if we're with someone like that, and we feel like we're settling or compromising for less than we deserve, I would say, why are we settling and compromising? Because we're never going to find someone to date that's a hell yes in our life if we can't say no to the people that are no's. And if someone is kind of great and kind of awful all at the same time, why are we settling for less than we deserve? Because there is someone who can meet you better out there. I guarantee it. We do not, there is so many people on the planet, and we do not have to settle or compromise for anyone, and we are better off being alone rather than playing pretend with someone who looks good on paper, but who makes us feel rather shitty or miserable some of the time. Because why would you want to settle for someone or spend time with someone who makes you feel shitty or miserable ever? And I would tell you, like, from my perspective, I have a very low tolerance for anyone that makes me feel, who can be disrespectful, who can say things that are hurtful. And it feels so empowering to not have people in my life who disrespect me. And when we're thinking about the partnership that maybe we're in, or a partnership we would like to call in, the question to ask ourselves is, how well do we care for ourselves? Because if we're not caring for ourselves, we're never going to be able to care for another person. If we're not capable of loving ourselves, we're never going to be able to love another person. And the words you say to yourself in private are going to be the words you say to this person eventually, if you spend enough time with them. So can we take time to be more kind, more loving, give ourselves more compliments? Something I've been doing lately is, like, when I brush my teeth in the morning, I say, Luke, you have the most beautiful eyes. You have the most beautiful jawline I have ever seen. You are so confident and charismatic. You are literally an awesome person. And you bring a level of joy, a level of love, a level of kindness, a vulnerability that is so rare on this planet, and I'm so lucky to get to know you. And this is literally words I say to myself in the morning, but it feels so incredibly good just to see and recognize myself, because we are a spirit in a body, but the body wants to feel complimented. The first soulmate you have is your body. And can you love, can you care for, can you compliment your body like you would another person? And if you can get to a level where you can meet yourself that way, you'll be able to meet other people that way. But when we're thinking about dating people, we should never feel like we're settling or compromising for less. And if it feels like an I don't know, the best way to go about it is to stay in friends with this person and explore why we're unsure about dating this person, and explore why they might be a no just as much as a yes. And if the reasons why if this person does things that we go, ooh, that doesn't seem that good, or they have interests that don't really feel that supportive to us, they're most likely not our person. And can we have that level of discernment? And something I've been exploring lately is, like, even like when I think about dating people, or when I meet people I'm really attracted to, I think, is this person going to help grow my passion? Because what I'm really into, what I feel like is going to be my greatest contribution to the planet in this lifetime, is is giving these talks, is spirituality. And I want a partner that helps me grow my devotion to spirituality, that helps me become even better at teaching, and hopefully is someone I can actually teach with as well. And if it's not someone that would deepen my connection to spirituality, then it's not my partner, and it means I'm just going to have a beautiful friendship with them. And what I found by having that level of discernment is the fantasies I have about dating certain people, having sex with certain people, get amplified for a minute, but it's burning the fantasy slowly out of me as I'm willing to sit with my desires. Because we oftentimes fantasize of what it would be like to be with another person without actually being discerning of, is this person actually going to be the highest partner I could attract? Is this person going to help light me up in all the ways I would want to be lit up, support my passions? Is this person someone who I'd want to spend the rest of my life with? Or is this person who I go, they're good enough. They're good enough, because if they're good enough, they won't be good enough in the long term. And when we're thinking about dating people, it's a long-term relationship. And we should think about it like that. And the more discerning we could be, the more no's we give, the more we will be redirected to a yes. And it's something I'm testing out. And if you go, Luke, I don't believe you, I don't think that's true, that's okay. You're welcome to explore whatever you want to explore. But really, what I've learned is the more time I've spent by myself, not dating anyone, is the more level of vulnerability and intimacy I've found within myself that I then will get to be able to share with a partner when that partner comes into my life. Because as we love ourselves through aloneness, we turn that aloneness into wholeness by our willingness to love the aloneness we experience. And wholeness is the best way to manifest any type of thing we want in our life, because wholeness is detachment of, I don't need this, but this would be a nice thing to experience. And we are always going to be betrayed when we feel like we need something, because a need will be stripped away the moment we can handle it, to return us back to the wholeness we are avoiding by not wanting to be alone. And I'm going to change subjects because I wanted to talk about this and then I kind of forgot mid-talk, but I wanted to talk about people pleasing. And I think this also ties into wholeness now that I'm thinking about it too, is that I grew up as a people pleaser, and oftentimes people pleasing is just a fear of disappointing people. And we often learn that it's not okay to disappoint people, because when we disappointed our parents growing up, and well, my parents are amazing, we all have things we're learning and growing from. And when we disappoint our parents growing up, oftentimes they became their most controlling and manipulative version of themselves. And the greatest way to know if we're in the right partnership or not is, or one of the greatest ways is, how do they handle us disappointing them? And the person who's going to be the right person will be someone, when you disappoint them, they go, well, honey, thank you for being real with me. Thank you for telling me what you actually need. And I'm here to care and support what you need. So I'm glad you made me aware of what you need in this moment. Rather than someone, when we disappoint them and they go, how dare you disappoint me? I need you to do this. You're not doing this. Why aren't you doing this? And we learn that when we disappoint people and we advocate what we need, it's actually an act of self-love. And it's actually us being our most authentic self. And it's helping people relate to who we actually are, rather than their ideas or fantasies of us. And the people that aren't meant to be in our life, when we disappoint them, is when they go, I can't control or manipulate you how I thought I could, and they leave your life. Or they get really amplified and start throwing projections onto you and calling and making all this shit up, all sorts of shit up about you. And you go, okay, not someone I meant to know. And the people who, when we disappoint them, they take it as a reason to love us more, not less, or take it gracefully and say, thank you for telling me what you actually need, or people that are meant to be in our life, whether that's friends or partners. And we learn that I'm my most free and authentic self when I'm willing to disappoint people. And if I'm someone who's afraid of disappointing people, and I'm in a relationship or spending time with friends, and I feel like I really need something, and that feels super healthy for me, but also would disappoint all the people around me, can I ask for that? Can I advocate for that? Because it would be the fastest way out of people pleasing, is what's the healthiest choice for me that I actually need, and what would also disappoint all the people around me the most, and can I make those choices? Because it will birth your most free, unauthentic self. And we're only going to find soulmate relationships, we're only going to find divine partnership when we're willing to be our most free, authentic self, when we're willing not to settle or compromise for less than we think we deserve, or for people who kind of meet us but not fully meet us when we're thinking about dating. And when we're willing to when we're willing to go, I'm willing to be alone, and I'm willing to take my aloneness as a reason to love, compliment, care for myself more, so that when I'm actually manifest, when the person that I'm actually meant to date steps into my life, I'm actually capable of handling it, and I'm actually capable of fully receiving it and loving them so deeply and being grateful for them so deeply for how grateful and for how much I loved myself before they came into my life. Because if you feel like life isn't enough as it is, if you were given more, you would feel the same way. Because if you can't appreciate what you have in this moment, it doesn't matter what's changed around you, you would still feel a lack of appreciation. You'd still feel like things are wrong, because it's not actually about what's around you, it's about your perception of your life. And the more you focus on what's wrong, the more, no matter how life changed, life is going to be wrong. And the more you take time to be grateful and appreciative of what you do have, and take time to love yourself and compliment yourself before anyone else does so in your life, is the moment life goes, you're ready to handle more. Here's a friend. Here's things happening in your life that you want to happen or have been trying to create for a while. And it's actually the internal steps. And while we do have to take action steps and move towards our dreams, sometimes the internal steps are actually the fastest way to get things to change in our life, because life is waiting for you to be able to receive what you desire. And the willingness to receive it is willing to love yourself deeper no matter what you experience, and to care and love for those around you. And when things change, can I receive things gracefully, and can I take it as an invitation to love this person deeper rather than an invitation to be controlling, manipulative, or project things onto them. So I hope that helps. Thank you for listening.